This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
Oh man, Josh, it's been so hot. It's been miserable, right?
Yeah.
Things are bonkers. And fires, people losing their houses, and earthquakes, and the hurricanes in California.
Yeah.
It's just all kind of
Earthquake
wacky.
while a hurricane was occurring.
Right. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice just to be here in your little space that's nice and cozy and cool and quiet.
Yeah.
You know, because all that stuff is going on, like with Mother Nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here at the house, this is what I want to talk to you about today.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the kids before and how they make you crazy. And we have the puppy, Lucy,
Mm-hmm.
who is now, she's almost 5 months old. And we just fostered a couple puppies, and one of them ended up, we adopted. So one of them is going to her forever home tomorrow, and the other one is already here. And named her Tully because she had this, like, when she was first got here, she had, like, her left leg just sit kind of funky. You know, when she was sitting down, it just kind of went funky. And she's a black dog. She's a pit bull. And so she looked, somebody said this to me, and I thought it was so funny. Said that she looked like the gatekeeper on Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I looked it up. A Keymaster.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she does. So I named her Tully.
After.
Yeah, because Rick Moranis' character was last name Tully, and he's the one that, you know, interacted with her and ended up growling like a dog and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, named her Tully. So she's here. Anyway, my point is there's a lot of young, chaotic energy that's around the house.
Yeah.
And we have talked before about how their loudness and abrupt behavior and just the non-stop of it really gets on your nerves.
Yeah.
And makes it so you have to leave. But what I'm wondering about is, so clearly they bother you, and sometimes it's more than you can take because you leave.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is that kind of thing where you're dealing with something and you just have to not deal with it anymore. You just have to remove yourself. I'm wondering, what is your mental process when that's happening? Because there are things like, so for example, I just described the kids and the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not your job to make sure that the puppies are doing okay. But if they do something that's very upsetting to you, whereas me, I'll just go get something and clean it up. Or if they've got something they shouldn't, then I'll just take it from them and, you know, put it higher up so they couldn't reach it again. And with the kids,
they grow big enough in a week.
I know. Lucy she had a collar on that fit her just fine when she went to bed. The next day, when I was getting ready to go take her for a walk, she wears a harness when she walks because I don't want to pull on her throat. Mm-hmm. She wears a harness, and but I just kind of felt the collar. And like the thing was tight. Like it was loose. It was fine the day before, and then the next day it was tight, so I had to loosen it up some more.
Yeah.
And now she's on her second collar that she's outgrowing. So I can't make the collar that she's has now. I can't make it any bigger. So now I have to go out and buy her third collar, and she's not even 5 months old.
Wow.
I know. It's crazy. But anyways, what I'm wondering about is, I know that you hear everything, and you experience all the sounds and the energy that's going on. But there's something that's a bit different that I want to try to understand from you.
Okay.
If you're here at the house, there are things that you have a hard time dealing with that to me and some other people here at the house doesn't bother us the way it bothered you. And it was brought to my attention that you went to Starbucks with somebody. I guess it was Starbucks. I think it was Starbucks. Maybe it was,
yeah.
And there was a whole bunch of noise going on. And they were blown away that you could just stay in a conversation with them. There's lots of noise going on.
Yeah.
He said there was noise. There was
other conversations.
Just the kitchen noise, the everything.
Yeah.
So, first of all, what is the difference in noise and chatter and anything that's outside of yourself? How come in one situation you're able to carry on a conversation and be relaxed, and the other you look totally amped up, like you're about to go through the roof. You're not angry, but just agitated.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
So the difference is, for the most part, familiarity. Like, whenever I'm here at home and the kids are here and the pups are doing whatever and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, it's all people I know, voices I'm familiar with. And so it's like, do I focus on this? Do I focus on this? I can't focus on which one, because there's so much that is pulling me in different directions that the difference is that at the Starbucks, as the example you gave, I don't know these other people. I don't know their voices. If I heard a word or something like that, or a phrase that I am interested in or familiar with, it would have caught my attention. But I didn't, and there wasn't.
Okay.
And so it was actually easier for me to focus on what I was doing. Whereas here at home, there's so much going on that there's so much going on that I can't separate it for which one I need to be focusing on. And that's not a conscious decision either, because there's so much going on. My mind is constantly trying to focus on everything, whether I want it to or not. So it's really hard. I know I've used a description like this before, but imagine a computer is trying to process a whole bunch of different things. If you're clicking the mouse and it's frozen, it's going to stay frozen for longer because it's still trying to process the prior stuff. Mm-hmm. Now it has other stuff backed up on top of it. Yeah. And it's overheating and it's not working for longer. If you think of it like that, that's what's happening, is that there's so much going on that I'm trying to filter through that I'm not functioning.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I'm in that, more information I'm getting, the longer it's going to be for me to function. For it to finally work through it all and function.
Okay.
So
It is what?
Huh?
It
what?
Before it to work through it.
Whatever the situation is that has all of that stimuli.
And so at home, when there are some things that we absolutely agree on. You know, like if we're in the car, there's no way it's not okay to yell.
Right.
In a car. The kids' noises, I feel like I'm able to differentiate between a kid noise that's having fun versus a noise that needs guidance.
Yeah, and
right.
And that's not something I take an issue with. My difficulty with the kids is the volume at which it occurs and when it occurs. It's
So the people at the coffee shop were having their own conversations. It was noise that was related to the environment that you were in.
Maybe.
So that didn't make a difference.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know these people. I didn't recognize their voices. Okay.
All right, so let me ask you just a couple things so I can kind of understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at a coffee shop. You're having a conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And the coffee grinder goes off. Does that bother you?
No.
What about a blender? That noise of a blender that is just kind of...
It's not even that it's a particular noise. We're at a coffee shop. That kind of noise is expected.
Well, right, but I'm asking you, like, the different sounds, the different tones that they make. Because sometimes there's certain sounds that... Like, okay, so our puppy, the 4.5-month-old is Lucy. When she was a puppy, she would bark, and there was a certain overtone that would come with her bark that hurt my ears.
Yeah.
It was like she would bark, and then there would be a little squeak above the bark, and it hurt my ears.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt my ears anymore for that reason. Now, she has a deep bark like she means business.
Mm-hmm.
It no longer hurts my ears, but when she barks, if I'm not expecting it, it could make me jump because it's so big
and loud
and deep, and you know.
And it's never just one bark with her.
No, but she doesn't. But she's far better than the other dogs that we've had, because she will bark within, you know, maybe a few times when she's playing.
Yeah.
But let's just say somebody comes to the door, she's not gonna just bark at them the whole time. Bella does that.
Yeah.
The 15-pound 8-year-old Bichon
with no teeth.
With no teeth. She doesn't let up. She barks the whole time.
And she sets off the other two. But, yeah.
Sort of, but they don't. You know, they're not really the barkers the way that she is.
Right. She'll get them wound up. They won't necessarily bark, but she'll get them wound up.
Yes. And so, I guess what I'm asking about then is that there are things that are expected because they're natural to that environment. And I'm trying to find out. So the kids will do things that don't bother me because, again, in my mind, I have them in certain categories, right? Is either do I need to you know, insert myself in this or in situation, or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've heard the old saying, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what it kind of is for me with the kids too. It's like I'm not going to step in and do something if they can handle it themselves, because it helps them as beings to be able to resolve issues, to be able to work it out, to talk it out, without me coming in and doing it for them. Now, sometimes, as you know, I have to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But, so, those noises here don't bother me unless I'm doing something that takes a lot of concentration, and I don't want to be bothered. Right?
Well, that first half of that statement, think of who you're talking to.
Exactly. So exactly. That's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm saying it, Josh, because I only feel the I don't know what it is, the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
of them being here if I'm having to concentrate on something. And what I'm saying is, I know that you wake up thinking about stuff. You know? I mean, I do too, but it's not, I wouldn't put it in a stressful category.
Right.
To me. And our stresses are very different. You know? It's gotten to a point, I'll tell you this, there's something that I just despise, and it has begun causing stress for me. There are so many of us living here at this house right now, and nobody will cook unless they check with me. And a lot of times people will not cook, and they will be expecting me to cook or me to decide what we're going to have. You kind of being the exception, because when you're hungry, you're going to eat. And you will sometimes ask me, do we have any plans? And if not, you're going to find something to eat.
Yeah, or plan something around it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I'll make sure that you're not planning on using something I'm gonna.
Yeah. But I get that there are situations that just the nature of the situation can cause stress. And to me, here's what it is. I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to be having to go in there and make big meals every dinner, because let's see, how many of us are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on any given night. And
7? Including the pups, or?
No, they're separate, so 9, I guess, if you count them. Because the kids are over here at least 3 or 4 nights a week.
So
you and me and Dad.
And RJ and Pappy.
That's
5.
And Josh and... Connor and
Maddie, 7.
Yeah.
And then 3 pups. That's 10.
Yeah, and 2 of the pups now eat the same thing, and the other one eats something different. And then, because she's got these little bladder crystals or whatever, she has to eat a special food, but then Pappy wants me to put green beans in it. And so I got to put green beans in it. Got to put something in it for her hips, because, you know, she's moving slower, limping a little bit from an old war wound.
What war wound?
She was chasing a squirrel. It was on. It was a battle. She tweaked her leg. This is down in Florida years ago. The reason I bring that up to you is because that used to not be an issue for me.
Right.
You know, when you and Haley were smaller, you and Bug were smaller, you know, of course, I cooked all the time. I was in charge of what everybody ate, because it was my, you know what I mean, my responsibility to feed you guys. So I did. And now I'm at a point where I don't want to anymore.
You don't want to be in charge of that.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, some days I just would like to just go, you know, to have a little cottage by the beach with your dad and the dogs and say, you know, I love you all from over here. But then other times too, you know, I really enjoy, you know, getting to see you every day, and, you know, so it's not, I feel that way around dinner time. When it's time for me to have it. But that's a thing that is gotten stressful for me, because now I'm not cooking for 4 people, you know, it's for 7 humans
and
3 pups, and
making sure that it's something that they will eat. And
yeah, and you know, for some reason that's just kind of fallen, that people, you know, rely on me to do that, or give me the leeway to do that, depending on how you look at it. But it's really something I don't want to do anymore.
Okay.
You know, so what I'm saying to you, the reason I bring that up is that so I can understand how certain situations are stressful for you, but the situation in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, but it does affect you.
Yeah.
In a very strong way.
Yeah, it does.
So, when you were at the, so I'm just bringing that up to you to say that that's my only way of saying that, hey, I get it, that even though it doesn't appear super stressful, or frustrating, how that can still be the case without it being outwardly obvious.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that I do get how you feel these things. When you were at the coffee shop, you're saying that the noises were not your concern. But when I tell you times that you don't have to be concerned about that. I've got it. You don't have to worry about it.
That's nice words. I'm still going to be.
How come though?
Because I'm going to be. It's going to be input, for lack of better words, whether I want it to or not. It's going to bother me whether I want it to or not. The best thing for me to do is to get away from that.
Well, but, okay, so help me to understand this, because if I say to you, say the kids are doing something, they're arguing or wanting help with something or whatever, and I say to you, I got him, don't worry about it. And I do. And I take, I'm there with them, I'm spending time with them, I'm helping them through something, I'm doing whatever it is. Why, at that point, is it difficult? And it's also, I should say that you and I experience the kids in a very, very different ways.
Yes.
We experience the puppies in a very different way. Because to me, that's life, that's livelihood, that's energy, that's exciting. It feels good. It's a good energy. And it's so funny because I just said about me and Dad and I have this little cottage with the two of us and the puppies, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, yes, that is true. There are times that I would like that, but I do like the busyness of the house while that there's so many here at the same time. I do like that. So there are days when I'm just kind of going, why? But yes, for the most part, I do like it. And so for you, if I'm telling you, yeah, don't even worry about something, I've got it, and I'm showing you that I've got it, so that there's what I'm trying to convey is that there's no expectation on you that you need to do anything.
Right. And I understand that. That much I do understand. That it's not something that I need to be taken care of. That I need to be taking care of. A lot of times I am seeing things that occur, though, that you don't, it seems. And that it's very frustrating.
Well, could it be also, too, there's times when this is my point, that things frustrate you and they don't frustrate me because it's a non-issue, right? And so I'm dealing with it in a different way than you would deal with it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with it. It's just that if there's something that doesn't bother me that the kids are doing, look, the kids call me Gammy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm Gammy. Well, at Gammy's house, they're allowed to ride their scooters up and down the hallway. We have a big, long hallway. And it's a great place for them to learn. It's a safe place for them to learn. And they go up and down and they fly through the house and, it's fine. I know other people would not let their kids ride their scooters in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of thing doesn't bother me.
Right.
While they're learning, it's safer there because the road is bumpy.
The actual road is bumpy, yeah.
Yeah. And so they would have to ride out on the road for us to get to the sidewalk. You know? And then they have all those little acorns from the trees, you know? So you hit one of those. Have you ever hit one of those on a skateboard?
No, because I don't ride a skateboard, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And like rollerblades.
Yeah.
That's happened, and I fell.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. So, you know, there's things that you might not see me getting upset over, and that might, what I'm saying to you right now is that it might very well be because I'm not upset by it. Not that you see something that I don't, but that it's I don't care about it. You know? Just like how if we're eating and let's just say we're having something that needs shredded cheese on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to go first, because if somebody else reaches in the bag and grabs the cheese and then, you know, then they put the bag back, but, you know, they've touched the cheese that's in the bag now. They don't just touch the cheese that they pulled out and put on their food, but they've touched the other cheese. You will not be able to eat the cheese. And so those are things that I know about you. And I know that when we have something that requires that, like tacos, I say to you, you go first before anybody else's hands have been in this bag.
Yeah.
And there are things about you that I know that those kinds of things make a difference.
Yeah. And I do appreciate things like that happening.
Yeah, well, I know you well enough, and it's just something that, you know, is an easy fix, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, too, if I'm not experiencing the things that you experience as a negative, and you can go to the coffee shop and ignore everything that's not a big deal. How do I help you to feel like the things are not a big deal, or at least that you don't need to be invested in the outcome? Because honestly, okay, so let's just take...
You've lost me already.
Okay, so...
You asked me a question, but you kept going and I lost it.
Sorry. Okay, so the cheese thing, right? I know that bothers you, so I fix it. Before dinner even starts, I fix it. And how do I fix that? You go first. Because you know your hands are washed.
Yeah.
And if you reach into the bag, you've just washed your hands. So it's okay. Yeah. And if you don't, you sprinkle it out.
Yeah, while holding the size of the bag.
Yes, instead of putting your hand in there.
Yeah.
And you've seen other people that don't do that, and it just grosses you out, and you don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's an easy fix. I guess I'm asking you, is there anything else that can be an easy fix like that I'm not aware of to help alleviate some of the stress that you feel?
I don't know.
Okay.
Not offhand.
Okay.
Sorry.
When you come in the morning,
mm-hmm.
I tell the kids, you got to give Uncle Josh time to wake up.
Yeah.
And I've told that to your dad.
Yeah.
You know, that Dad will be asking you something, and I'll just say, he's not awake yet.
Yeah.
And your dad has actually looked at me like I was crazy because you're up, your eyes are open, you just walked through the room. Yeah. How am I telling him that you're not awake yet?
Yeah.
And he's looked at me like that, and I go, he can't function. He's not going to compute what you're saying.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay. So there are things about you that I've understood But I cannot figure out how you can be at a coffee shop and
Function.
function and make sense of all that noise. It has a place, and it's not your responsibility, so you don't take it on, so
Right.
it doesn't bother you.
So
I'm trying to say to you, here at the house,
it's my place.
but it's not your responsibility.
But it still will gain my attention.
Yeah, but explain it. How is it different? If I'm telling you, you don't have to do anything about that. Okay, let's just put it a different way. Yeah, this is your house. We have a rule here. If you cook, you don't do dishes.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So let's just say, and this has happened before, where it's your turn to do dishes, and I say, I'm up, I'm in here, I'll get them. Don't worry about it. You're able to let that go. That was your responsibility. That's something you were invested in because you knew you had to do dishes that night. But I was just up. It was fine. You know what I mean? I was already in the groove. Just doing it. You're able to let that go. What is it about these other things that you're not able to have go on simultaneously and you're not able to be okay through that? Even though I don't know how else to let you know that it's not your stress. It's not your frustration. It does not have to be your worry. Because I
think the biggest difference is that with the dishes, it's not that I have or don't have to do something about it. But with other things that stress me out and everything, from being overloaded or what have you, those things are affecting me. And whereas dishes, not so much. It's other stuff are affecting how I'm processing things or feeling about things. And with the dishes, that's it. Usually whenever you say that, I have the response of, "Are you sure? I can still do it."
Mm-hmm. Right.
But other than that, it's not a. I'm trying to think of the word, but I'm not.
Right. Well, you've said many, many times that you want to be in charge of things, not people. And so I take that to mean the kids as well. You don't want to... It's not... You love the kids, right? You think they're funny sometimes. You'll play games with them sometimes. You engage with them. And, you've even been very, very helpful with them at many times just by being who you are. But they are these little beings that are just, Connor especially bounces off the walls, and
sometimes literally.
Yeah. And but do you understand that you don't have to have the answers to raising these kids? You don't have to be the one that says, don't do this, or do this, or whatever it is. You don't have to be responsible for that. You're the uncle. That gives you a pass. You can be the fun uncle. You don't have to be a disciplinarian with them. You don't have to set them straight every time you see them.
Right.
You could just as easily, if you're seeing something that's not okay, you can tell me. You know?
Yeah.
You can come to me and say, Mom, they're hitting each other. Okay, thanks. We'll deal with it.
Okay.
What I'm just trying to say is that nothing that we've done so far helps you to be calm around the kids. And I know that the dogs are stressing you out because they, they're puppies. Lucy doesn't go in the bathroom in the house anymore.
Right.
The foster Piper did it more than any, but Tully does it some, but not as bad.
Right.
I know that stresses you out.
Yeah.
I can understand that because it doesn't smell good. It's a pain to clean up. It's,
It's all the other stuff that they do that's more so than that. Not but the it's been a tough week.
Yep. Which, by the way, I'm going to put a picture of Tully up on the website.
Okay.
Because we shared Lucy with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to see. I wonder if I should put the keymaster, the gate picture.
Do you have a picture of of Tully as in that?
Yep. I can put them side by side so everybody knows what I was talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It wasn't even me that recognized it. Somebody else said that to me. They saw the. Yeah. And I go, oh my gosh, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but what happens is you get so stressed and then it stresses me out. And it stresses your dad out. And, because you're so stressed. I'm trying to say, what can we do to eliminate your stress, so that it's easier on everyone?
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, just like in that restaurant, part of it is it wasn't your business. You were not worried about anybody else's conversations. You weren't worried about what anybody else was doing in there. People that were working, making all kinds of racket, doing the machines that they do, didn't bother you because it was just part of it. I would like for you to be able to realize that living here, just because the kids are over, that doesn't mean they're your responsibility. And just because we have dogs doesn't mean they're your responsibility. And I don't want you to feel stressed and frustrated just by walking into the house.
Thanks. And I do understand that. It's not a conscious decision. It really isn't.
I know, but what I'm saying is, it wasn't a conscious decision when we were sitting in the coffee shop having a conversation and you were right there in the moment, available, present, able to have a conversation, and nothing else bothered you that was going on. And it really, truly is. I mean, unless the kids are on fire, or they're bleeding or they're throwing up, right? I mean, it's okay for you to just let somebody else handle it.
All right.
Does that feel better? Or does that stress you out?
I'm stressed.
Okay, so you're saying it was familiar. Is there any other way that you can explain this to me? Why you could do this?
If you were to hear Aunt Becky talking,
mm-hmm.
and you didn't expect to see her,
mm-hmm.
or even if you did expect to see her, and you heard her in a crowd,
mm-hmm.
you'd look to see if it was her, right?
Yeah.
That's my point. In a busy place that's not home, that will stand out, but you won't necessarily focus on other random things. At home, that standout thing is literally everything. So whenever there's a big meal that's being made or whatever, and the TV's on, and all of those things are vying for my attention, whether it's meaning to or not.
Right.
And so it's ridiculously easy to get overwhelmed when that occurs.
I understand that about you. I really do. What I'm trying to find out is how we can make it easier for you here at home to know. I don't know. Sometimes with you, it's like this. I have to say the perfect sentence or the perfect concept or phrase for it to click.
Yeah.
And it's not coming to me right now, because what I'm trying to say to you is that let's just hit like a reset, right? Let's just start over here, and for you to really know and understand that you don't have to take on any responsibility when it comes to the kids. You can just be the fun uncle that plays board games with them and you know, pushes them on the swing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your job to parent the kids, because just by you being here, you're setting a positive example.
By being 35 years old and living with my parents? Or almost 35, whatever.
35, wait a second. No, yeah, it is almost 30. Yeah, I always get this messed up because our anniversary was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36 years. 36
years for your anniversary, and I was born just over a year after.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yep. No, you set a good example by being the kind, loving person that you are. And you don't try to do that. That's just who you are. But the agitation that you feel and the frustration, because when they talk, they screech. You know?
Yeah.
They squeak, they screech. There's just, they touch like, I can't tell you all the time. We'll go someplace, and Madison touches everything.
Yeah.
It's just everything.
Yeah.
And so, even before hand sanitizer was a thing, I was like, I have it in my purse because she touches everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I am just wanting for you to be able to relax when it comes to the kids and the dogs, because they're not your responsibility. You're part of the family because you live here. This is your home too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're your grandkids, and
not my grandkids.
I mean, they're your nieces. Sorry, they're your niece and nephew, and they are your pups by extension, right? Because they're here all the time.
Right.
But I just want for you a way that you can interact and be present without feeling like you have to take on the stress of their energy. I know you're saying that you feel it all. How can you block it out? How can it, what I'm saying is there any way to try to feel like you do at the coffee shop, that, that you see something, and even if it's just one thing that could make it easier for you, that, okay, that is not important enough for me to get stressed about, or this is not,
I don't have an answer right now.
Okay. Well,
I'll try and think of something, but right now I don't know.
Okay. But you understand what I'm talking about, right? Do you? How the difference is how you felt relaxed at a coffee shop, and yet you walk into the house and you're stressed. I think
I get what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if there's a difference in the way you're looking at the situation or the level of responsibility that you think you might have, the reason I'm asking you about it in these ways is because I'm thinking maybe if you looked at it in a different way, you could feel better and not feel like you had to take that on. Even though I understand what you're saying, it's not something you do deliberately.
Right. And it's not a conscious effort or decision.
And sometimes I think that you think that things have to be done a certain way. Like for example, you have a TV box that's sitting in here. And I think you probably haven't taken it out because you don't know if the trash cans are full. You don't know if they're going to take it if you sit it out there like that. You don't know if it's going to rain, so if you sit it out, it doesn't fit in the trash can, you sit it out, it's going to, if that's going to be okay or not. All kinds of variables with it.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, any of those are fine.
What do you mean?
You could cut the box up.
Mm-hmm.
If it fits in the trash, put it in the trash or the recycle bin, right?
Right.
If it doesn't, sit it next to it, and it can be put in there as soon as the trash is emptied the next week. If it gets rained on, so what? It's cardboard. It's not going to hurt anything by getting wet. No big deal. We just put it in the trash can.
Okay.
But I know that you don't take steps sometimes because you don't know what the right answer is.
Right.
And I'm wondering, too, is that the case a lot of times with the kids, that you're anticipating something, so you're already anxious or frustrated with it, even though nothing has happened yet. Because, look, it's just a matter of time. If you're around Connor, he's going to get loud.
I mean, if they're not over, before anyone else is even done getting out of the car, he's already running into the house. Gammy!
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter what's going on. He's yelling for you.
Yeah,
yes.
I know.
And they don't see if someone's having a conversation.
They are learning about that. They do understand. They're beginning to understand that. Sometimes all I have to do is hold my finger up, and they know to, oh, sorry.
And they'll wait 10 seconds.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Connor has a struggle with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying it's easy. But what I'm looking for is a mindset that can help you to feel not so frustrated and stressful right from the very beginning.
Mm.
It's just like you knowing that they're here. That gets you feeling that way. They don't even have to do anything. You don't have to see them. Just knowing that they're here, you're already feeling like that.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, to be able to help you to not take so much on when it comes to, living here, that would be, I don't know, I just would like that for you to not have to, feel so overwhelmed and stressed, because it's a busy house.
Yeah.
It's just busy. It's loud. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff going on. I do know that we try to make the adaptations for you when you're in the house, because, when I'm cooking, I like to listen to music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dad wears hearing aids, so the TV's loud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always telling your dad, "Could you turn the TV down?" What? Could you please turn the TV down?
Yeah.
So yes, that's an issue. I get it, But yeah, and so football season's, here, and those nights get loud.
Yeah.
And
when is the first game?
I am not really sure when the first game is. They already have me preseasons, preseason games. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of reasons that it gets loud around here, and I'm just trying to figure out why it can be so loud at a coffee shop and you're fine, and here you're not fine. And your answer is because this is familiar. This is what you know. This is where you live. This is what's different. It feels different. It feels like you take things on without even intending to take them on. And when you're out, you're kind of free, of all the hassle of family. And you know what? I don't think that that's necessarily an autistic thing. Because, I hear, it is just, there is something to be said about being out and away from everything, responsibilities and everything. So, yeah, I get it. Well, think about it, though. Think about it. And if you could somehow, in the moments that you're experiencing stuff in the house, think about what it is about those situations that are so bothersome.
Okay.
And also think about, if you can, what would help it.
All right.
If we can do those things, then, it will be nice to be able to see you more often.
Yeah. I'd like that.
Yeah, so would I. All right. I have a show tonight at the Funny Bone, so I gotta go get ready to go be funny. Why are you shaking your head?
So many jokes I could make.
Leave me alone. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. I gotta go. So thanks for hanging out with us. If you have any input on this subject that we're talking about, please let us know. Because I know that I'm like on the verge, but I'm not framing things in the way that is helpful. I feel like I'm right there. I know what I'm thinking, but my mouth is not cooperating with the right phrases to make it click. So, anyway, I do think that it is important for you to be able to feel more comfortable here at home all the time. Because, everybody's loud here. Everybody's loud and, a lot of commotion.
Yeah.
So, anyway, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And thanks for sticking with us, too. We have had some, I don't know what you call it, if it's not a platform. It's, the way that things were, an update was given, an update was done again, and then it really did make things difficult. So that update was done, and then it made things not work, and we are recording in a different format right now for this podcast, and hopefully it makes things easier and work better. And I think that your dad fixed the website issues that we were having. So people could still go to the website before, but like, for example, all of a sudden all the buttons were gone where people could not listen to the podcast off of the website.
Wow.
Things like that, right? Other things where I wasn't getting emails, I couldn't send emails, and the other thing is that whole pages were not showing up on the website. Anyway, the whole thing was really pretty crazy. Yeah. And it's been, so we thought, okay, one thing was taken care of, so okay, we can go do it again. We go to do it again, nope, it's not working. So from the time it was checked, like, okay, yes, everything looks good, no reason to go back. Then we'd go to record and use the website, and it wasn't allowing it. So it was pretty crazy for a while there, but I really do think that now that he's got this new way of doing things, so he just went away entirely from the old way of doing it and come up with this new, easier, streamlined way to do it, and hopefully that alleviates the problem.
Okay.
But, yeah, so thank you everybody for hanging out with us and sticking with us. The website is sonyaking.com, SONYAKING.com, and send us a message if you'd like to. That would be great, especially in this subject, because we could really use some help, some input from other people.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks so much for being with us and for being patient with us. We really appreciate you, and we will speak with you next week. Love you.
Bye.